You are watching Matt's Minis, a Louis Lafleur program. This is a free episode available due to the graciousness of Mr. Lafleur himself. Please support the Patreon at www.patreon.com/LLPQ to watch all Matt's Minis episodes, including ones from past seasons, and other wonderful programs.
These are Matt's Mini Movies, presented by Mr. Louis. These are Matt's Mini Movies, presented by Mr. Louis.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Matt's Minis presented by Mr. Louis Lafleur. I'm Matt Johnson. This is for the week of April 1st-ish, 2026. It's really from a little more than a week. Lots of new movies. Been going to the theater a lot, even though there's nothing good. Maybe there's a little okay things, I guess. You'll see as they'll be revealed. 2026 continues to be quite a year for movies, I would say. Anyway, let's get started with the first movie of the week, which is from 2026, called Forbidden Fruits by Alloway, 2026. So yes, I went to the theater to watch this about a few ladies that are forming a kind of coven, little witches in a mall. They're working at some fashion store and doing witchy stuff, placing curses on people. I guess it's kind of like a Mean Girls-y type of movie, and I've never seen that, so I don't really know what that means. I've seen The Hot Chick. Is that similar? She's Rachel McAdams is in both of those. I know it's not similar at all, obviously, but that's the first thing I think of. But yes, with Betty from Riverdale, as I know her, as we did watch like a lot of Riverdale, very goofy, bad teenage television. Yeah, I thought this one was pretty funny. She's basically, Betty is like the leader or whatever, and everybody else just like does whatever she asks and says, and they look up to her. And yeah, she's basically just using them to help her, put curses on people and get what she wants. And she's clearly got plenty of issues on her own, living out of her car and possibly killing her dad and lots of wild things. Pretty funny movie though. There's like a new girl coming into the mall. They're bringing her into the coven. Yeah, and she's like getting to know all of the girls and why they're here and their dark little secrets and stuff, and it's fun. It also has a really funny twist, I guess, ending, like the very, very ending. It's also like horror movie, I guess, but there's nothing really horror about it until basically the very end. Just like over the top with a little bit of gore and stuff in a funny way. This must have been like a crazy low budget. I didn't actually look or anything, but the effects and stuff made me laugh, and the whole thing just takes place in just a single mall. So for my Matt's Minis movie mobiles in the movies, so yes, like I said, she the main girl was sleeping in her car, which is a Volvo like station wagon. I think she's laying down and she looks through she has like little curtains in the back, and she's looking through them multiple times, ominously, I guess. The other main character, like this new girl, is driving some kind of little sedan. They're in Texas, and none of them have big giant trucks, but I guess it's because it's a girls movie and not with big macho dudes in their huge trucks. I thought that was weird, huh? But yeah, that's about it for the mobiles. I think I'll give it like a 4 out of 10 maybe, since it was like a kind of major plot point.
Give us the deets on the Forbidden Fruits group chat. Who engages the most? Who never responds? What is it called? It is called Fruity Cuties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We talk about right now social media and what to post and when. Mm-hmm. But when we were shooting, we're gonna keep sleeping and maybe not hang out.
Yeah.
All right, that was Forbidden Fruits. Next movie of the week is called Practical Magic by Dunne, 1998. I know what this movie is. I've seen it all the time, and I've never watched it, with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, but I had no idea that it was directed by Griffin Dunne from After Hours. Seems like such a, I don't know, what do you call a chick flick, I guess. Just like a witchy romance that I happened to watch after watching Forbidden Fruits, because I think me and Meg were just talking about it. Just seemed like in no way this could have been directed by a dude from like the thought of it, but then I'm watching it, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now it's clear this was directed by a dude, because so much stuff about this could have been so much better, in my opinion. I don't know, the whole thing is like them just obsessing over needing to be with dudes, I guess, or something. And it's sad because it starts out with them as little girls and they don't care about, well, I guess one of them doesn't care about ever being with a dude, getting married or whatever, and the other one is interested in it, and I don't know. But it's all about this, they're like siblings, love and need for each other, and then with their aunts, and they're all like witches, I guess, and doing their little magics, their practical magics, I guess. But yeah, pretty much all takes form in the form of like love with a man, and for better or worse, just such a weirdly directed movie. I definitely just had no idea where this was going at any time, which was cool. I guess probably because my idea of it was so far off from what the actual movie was. It sure makes living in like a nice little small town in the Northeast look cool, because it's always nice seeing these movies about that when it's like clearly in like spring and summer or something like that, and then compared to watching the what was that Storm of the Century Stephen King movie I watched, where there was just like the snowiest piece of shit season ever. You need a place that just is like that all the time, I guess, without the snow part. I'm afraid of the snow. It's too cold for me. That's like why I'm in San Diego. For my Matt's Minis movie mobiles in the movies. Yeah, like nearly right away in the beginning, Sandra Bullock, when she grows up and she gets married and has kids, and then her husband is killed by a bus, and the whole thing is about this curse of men that are with these women, and of course they have to be with men because that's society. So of course the men are just going to end up in not good ways, So yes, gets smashed by a bus. Nicole Kidman is basically dating and like is in love with this guy who's like from Romania or Bulgaria or something, and it's trying to be basically Dracula or something, and for some reason decides to go on like a road trip with him in his Cadillac, even though he's like an abusive asshole, obviously. And it's like one of those where he's the bad boy, but that's not, that's attractive to women, I guess. So say all the movies. I couldn't tell you if it's in real life. I don't know. Yes, they're road tripping with his caddy, and then some stuff happens, and they end up stealing it, essentially, and just taking it back to their little quaint northeastern town. An investigator dude does end up showing up and becoming basically the main love interest, I guess. But I can't remember what kind of car he was driving. Just some kind of sedan, I guess. Some solid mobiles. Lots of mobiles all over the place, so maybe I'll give it like a 5.
Look out! On your right!
All right, that was Practical Magic. Next movie of the week is called Alpha by J. Ducournau, 2025. The director that made Titan and Raw. I think he talked about it past them. Now it must have been an LLPQ or something. This is her latest movie from last year. I guess it's just started getting a theatrical run here. Basically, the whole thing is just an AIDS movie for some reason in 2026, and a super, super obvious like allegorical movie, down to like having A written on the bodies of these children. It's in the form of this virus that turns people into like marble statues, and then they die basically. The body horror part of it was really cool. She's a big body horror person. All of the super obviousness of it is like just leaves such a poor taste in your mouth, because it's just like the least subtle movie ever and doesn't do much more for you than that. Like they have even a whole scene of like her bleeding in the pool and everybody like runs and freaks out. Like it could have been straight out of like an 80s movie. I will say the drugged scenes with the dude with her uncle who is like crazy addicted to something, I don't even know what he's doing, heroin or something, is pretty triggering, I guess, if you've been around people on drugs. It's just uncomfortable. So nailed that. Yeah, and then of course like this sharing needles stuff leading to him getting the disease, and there's all kinds of like, what is this currently happening type of thing, past and present, and ghosts and stuff. And for my Matt's Minis movie mobiles in the movies, there is, so later on, the main little girl, it's also like this coming of age movie, which I didn't really mention, but she meets up with her uncle and they're like kind of running away from life in their apartment and stuff, and they get on a bus together out to nowhere, where of course he's just trying to score and get high, and where some other weird stuff is happening. So the little bus stuff, and then they eventually get picked up by, I think, just by her mom in this little cute little red French car, I guess, which I don't know what kind it was, but it was very small. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There might have been some kind of subway scene, I'm trying to remember, but I think that's it for the mobiles. I'll give it like a 2.5.
ماشي نخدمك يما وتبغي ورا تسقم يدنا.
Elle dort, maman. Elle... Faut pas la réveiller, pas entrer.
Okay, that was Alpha. Next movie of the week is called Faces of Death by Goldhaber, 2026. If you're a horror head, you know this is a reimagining thing, which it almost isn't even. I don't want to spoil too much of what the movie is, but basically the Faces of Death, it's like the movie itself, the old one, is in this movie as like a VHS tape. And the whole thing is about the old Faces of Death. It's like really gruesome death videos or whatever that were just fake, of course, in the end, and just like making the viewer see actual death and through a movie. And then the whole thing is just kind of like talking about how we see that like fucked up things all the time on our phone and in social media and stuff. And like the main character recorded some TikTok where she basically accidentally kills her sister or gets her killed by accident. And so she's trying to like make up for it by policing videos online, which is obviously an impossible task. And she comes across these ones that are possibly fake or possibly real of killing people. This movie also had a ton of Reddit on it. The first thing she does when she's trying to figure things out is go right to Reddit and just starts posting and asking about it, which I thought was hilarious. Hilariously cringe, really, is what I should say. Basically, the killer guy is like kidnaps and kills eventually this like social media woman, and it's like so obviously shitting on her the whole time, which is super annoying because she's just a victim, I guess, in my opinion. But it's also just as a whole just trying to like shit on social media and the internet and stuff, which of course is like sucks and it's so terrible. But it just feels like there's so many movies that are doing this now, and I just couldn't care less anymore. It's like, yeah, we all know it's fucking terrible, like how to do something else. Just so many terrible pessimistic movies out there that it's just annoying. Just can't just see anything else in the world. For my Matt's Minis movie mobiles in the movies, this guy, the main dude that's killing people, which is like revealed really early on, and there's literally no mystery in any way, is I think driving around a Cadillac, like a silvery gray Cadillac, and he's in Florida and he drives all the way over to New Orleans where the main woman is to go find her and stuff. In the movie, the main woman, her nickname is Train Girl, so of course there's a train involved in her past, and in the videos, and they show some train stuff. So yeah, some mobiles there. Got also some cop cars. She brings the cops over to the dude's house, and they of course don't believe her that he's actually a killer. A few mobiles. Maybe I'll give it like a 5 out of 10 on the mobiles.
Here at Kino Moderation, we protect people. The young, the innocent. When you come across content that violates policy, flag it and move on.
All right, that was Faces of Death. The next movie of the week is called The Drama by Borgli, 2026, with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I always call her Zendaya, but is it Zendaya? And the Haim girl who plays the most annoying person in a movie. I watched The Dream Scenario, which is the same director, and did not like it, even despite having Nicolas Cage. And this felt very similar in terms of like the humor and the tone and stuff, and it just seems like this dude's got, some kind of weird issues. Also, such a ridiculously Euro movie that I can't really get into without spoiling the point of the entire movie, which I thought was pretty ludicrous to begin with. And there's still part of me that doesn't understand which parts he believes in or is being ironic about and all this, with how terrible the characters are. And how everybody's, I don't know, ridiculously stupid, I guess, and annoying and stuff. But to me, watching it just felt like it's just like, oh, here's this one terrible thing. What happens now because of this? And then what else? And then that's the rest of the movie. It's just like, oh, how's this guy gonna deal with this? A dot movie. Like, that's the entire thing. And it doesn't really feel like it questions anything in any interesting way or anything. And it's just kind of like tries to make it into a laugh, and it's never very funny. It's more just eye rolling most of the time. These guys' movies are not for me. I just don't align with his ideas on anything and his view of the world, in my opinion, but maybe I do, and I just don't know it, and he just has no way to convey it just directly to my brain. For my Matt Smitty's moving mobiles and movies, he must be taking a subway at some point. This is a very New York movie, and maybe like a checkered cab or something, but I mean, I saw this in the theater and didn't write anything down, and I don't really remember. So if anything, maybe give it like a 1.5, because I'm sure there was some mobiles, and of course there's cars everywhere in New York and stuff, but nothing is sticking out.
So I want to say this thing about her laugh. Do you know how it's kind of like, it's very cute, but it's also kind of like
repulsive even.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if she laughs, then I can point it out and be like, and there it is. Yeah.
All right, that was the drama. Next movie of the week is called Smitherees by S. Siedelman. In 1982, trying to be very hard to be a punk movie with this woman and with Richard Hell and her little friend / boyfriend guy who's this square dude from Montana, but he has a cool van. Yeah, basically this main woman who's just trying to be in a band or be like a manager for a band or whatever is getting roped along by Richard Hell and his shitty band, thinking that she can go out to California and become a real rock star, I guess, or something. Or honestly, it just seems like she just wants to be a groupie, so she just should just go along with that. But even that is like above her, apparently, from so many places. And then, of course, we got this dude that she's kind of leading along and using to sleep in his van because she has nowhere to live, and who's not interested in any of this like punk type of stuff at all, and just wants her, just is interested in her because she's quirky and weird and stuff. And I thought the portrayal of Richard Hell and then those some other punkish dudes and their music, which is not really punk in any way, I guess, was pretty funny because they just seemed like full image only, like assholes that are just in it for money and aesthetic and don't care about anything else. And then the music is terrible, so to go along with it. But the soundtrack has some nice feelies songs, at least, besides the Richard Hell stuff, which I don't care about it in any way. Yeah, so you kind of feel bad for her, even though she does it to herself, and she's like an asshole to everybody, and she deserves it to be with them and stuff. But it's like, nobody should be having to deal with these type of people, just like, get away from that, It's not worth it. It's never going to be worth it. A dirty, grimy New York punk kind of movie, I guess. That's a fun ride, but nice cultural artifact, I guess I would say. For my Matt Smitty's mobiles and movies, of course, the main one is the Montana dude in his van, and he's got fully like graffiti with art all over it. He's parking in this parking lot all the time with concrete, like big blocks of rocks and garbage and stuff, which he eventually ends up having to sell off to a pimp so he can drive around as prostitutes and try to sell them off, Besides that, there's some subway scenes. She's like sleeping on the trains when she can't be with this dude, or gets kicked out, or does whatever she can't, and I don't know, fuck herself over. And they're showing lots of nice little early 80s characters in New York on the subways, which is fun. Yeah, I think that's it for the mobiles, though. I think I'll give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
Hey, where are you going? Hey, I've been looking all over for you. How come you left me with that creep last night?
What?
Look, I forgive you for ditching me, but if you want to make it up, there's one favor you can do for me, okay?
Yeah, and there's a favor you can do for me, too.
Yeah? What?
Leave me alone, will you?
Hey, what's wrong with you? Look, I've been locked out of my apartment and I need my stuff, okay? Come on.
All right, that was Smithereens. Next movie, which is the last movie. It's really two movies, but I'm just going to talk about them together because I watched them back to back. Ready or Not 1 and 2 by M. Bettinelli-Olpin and T. Gillett, 2019 and 2026. Yeah, there's nothing else really to watch. So I was with my friend on the half off Tuesdays, so we decided to watch the first one and then the second one since it was, still playing in the theater. I think it even still is. I kind of knew already what this was just from the trailer of the second one. Didn't watch this when it came out 7 or whatever years ago. The first one I had like just crazy ugly color the whole time, and it was just annoying just to look at. It was like dark yellow and green the whole time. There's this weird contrast, and it just like annoyed me. At least it had this ridiculous premise of the like, you're gonna play hide and seek and they're just gonna try to kill you, and she got like the one bad card marrying the dude, and that was like the entire thing. Like, what's annoying about it and the other one is that also of course adds in some whole Satan thing, and they've basically sold their soul to Satan because it's a takedown of the ultra rich again, which we've seen a million times, how they've just sold off to Satan for their little toys, and they have to do what he says or otherwise they're all gonna die. So of course you got that aspect in both movies, and the second movie really doubles down on it with Elijah Wood playing basically just like this satanic cult's lawyer and right hand man of the devil almost or something. And he's just I just feel bad for him to where he's gotten cast like with this and the Monkey movie. They're putting him in these little ridiculous roles where he's just like a kind of a little evil twerp that's kind of like an annoying douche kind of. And this one not so much, I guess, maybe, but still it's just like, what's going on here, you know? The second one just is so much more annoying because it leans into the whole like, oh, here's these different groups of people that are all trying to kill you, and they have their own little thing, like, oh, here's like the Mexican dude and here's like the Arabic dudes, and they're just like full caricatures. Like, it's hard not to even think it's just racist, but I mean, it's nothing really in particular, but it's just like, why does this have to happen, you know? Because in the first movie it's just like the family, this stupid family of ultra riches like trying to kill you, and now it's like, oh, here's now multiple families. Of course they gotta one up it with their sequel and take it to the next level, and they're not just competing to kill you just because, but it's because they're gonna control the world if they can kill you, you know? It's like, really, that's what we went with? And then they got Cronenberg to be the current ruler of the world for like 1 minute's worth of camera at time, you know, which was so strange. But he does have a nice little death that was making me think of his short film, The Death of David Cronenberg. Yeah, I mean, if you care about a lot of CGI blood and people dying in ridiculous ways, then it's a perfect movie for you, and I'm sure you've already seen it. So it doesn't feel like anything new or funny or cool or anything. So the one thing that was interesting about this is that this was 7 years after the first movie, and the main girl, like, it's just a continuation immediately from where that movie left off, and she looks exactly the same, which I thought was insane. I don't know if they did anything to make her look like that, or if she just looks exactly the same as she did 7 years ago. But I'd say that in itself is impressive, because I look very different than I looked 7 years ago. I could not pull that off right now, especially since it was pre and post COVID. But maybe she was active. I don't know. I was sat around my house doing nothing for like 5-6 years now, so it's nice. For my Matt's Minis movie mobiles in the movies, I can't even remember anything in the first movie because they're in this big giant mansion place. But in the second one, she gets taken to like a full compound, and everybody's starting off chasing her with little ATVs. Really fancy ones, of course, because they're super rich. Yeah, now I'm getting them mixed up now because I watched them both together. But in one case, she does get in hold of a car. Does she, or is it the guy that's hunting her? I think it's the first one when one of the dudes that like works there is trying to go run her down with his car, and there's some kind of like, I don't know, explosion or something in the forest. There's a little bit of car action, ATVs and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it like a 3 out of 10 in the mobiles.
It says hide and seek. Are we really gonna play that? Everything okay?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the rules. Hide and seek, right, Dad? Yes, indeed. Those are the rules.
But that was it. That's the last movie for the week. Let me rattle off my ratings. So it's not the best week, I would say. I didn't care much about most of these movies, but let's start with Forbidden Fruits, and then Practical Magic, Smitherees, Alpha, followed by the drama Faces of Death, and Ready or Not 1, and then 2, I'd say. Straight to the bottom of those. So that's it. That's my Matt's Minis for the week. Signing off. Goodbye.